it's not all about the Magnificent Seven this week. What else can we talk about but hundreds of other S&P 500 companies that are also reporting? I've brought you 5 top names, and I'm including one new one because there's an area that's kind of looking pretty bullish that we haven't talked about for years on the Earnings All-Stars charts. Maybe you can kind of think about what that is. It's obviously not energy because I have talked about that. And we are getting a lot of the energy companies to start reporting this week. This is when some of the big kahunas, the big oils, are going to start with their earnings reports. But what else should you be watching? Let's dive right in on these 5 interesting charts. Okay, so the first one we have talked about many times on this video, and it's ServiceNow. Ticker NOW, still with the perfect earnings surprise track record over the last 5 years. This is super impressive. This also includes the pandemic period. A lot of earnings all-stars. Companies basically had troubles during the pandemic, understandably so. And so they're now out of the race for the perfect 5-year chart, but not ServiceNow. It kept beating. And as you can see, it's also kept rebounding back up to new all-time highs. So it had the big sell-off like all the tech stocks did in 2022, but wow, what a rally here. It is not cheap. It has never been cheap, but it is now still very expensive at 53.8 times forward earnings. It's come down a little bit off of these recent highs, but we'll see if another beat here gives it momentum to continue with this breakout. We did have a little bit of sideways action also back here in 2023, so maybe we're kind of starting to see a little bit of that again here in 2024, but shares did take off on that earnings report there, 14% earnings report. So let's see what happens this quarter with ServiceNow. Then we can't get by without talking about one of the kings of the restaurants. It has regained its crown, Chipotle Mexican Grill, ticker CMG. It does have 3 misses. 2 out of the 3 were back here during the pandemic when restaurants were shut down. They were launching apps. They were doing pickup. But we had 2 misses there. But then we had this rare miss back here in 2023. And we did have some sideways action here as well, all throughout 2021, 2022, before it took off again in this huge rally that we just had starting at October there into March and April here in 2024. This stock has not stopped. Now, it's gotten much more expensive as well. And I kind of did a double take when I saw what its PE is because it was the same as ServiceNow at 53.8 times. And at first I thought I hadn't switched the chart over the data, but it was. So both Chipotle and ServiceNow kind of at those nosebleed levels. I know everybody keeps saying, but the growth. But once you start getting at 50, 60 times, gets a little bit shaky there. Can they do it again? Will they have double-digit same-store sales growth once again? We will see. Then we're going to switch over to retail. We don't get many retailers at this time early in the earnings season, but we do get this one big one, Tractor Supply, ticker TSCO. It's one of the best performing stocks of the last 30 years. And this too has broken out to new highs here in 2024. But it has an excellent track record. It did have no misses once the pandemic hit. It did have this one earlier, but this was in January 2020, before the pandemic and the lockdowns. And then we had all green here until 2023, where then we had a small earnings miss, just 2.37 and a 2.05 there before it turned it around and now is back in the green again. Now we have these shares busting out of this narrow trading range once again, much like Chipotle. And, we'll see if it can still hold this in this year. But what is the valuations like on Tractor Supply now? So it's trading at 24.8 times. That's a little pricey, again, for a retailer, and especially one that isn't, say, Lululemon. So you are paying a bit for these shares. Dividend is yielding 1.7%. So at least you got that. Also, it is shareholder friendly. So that's something else to watch here with Tractor Supply. But this is the rural retailer. And we'll see, we'll get a good eye on what's happening in those rural cities and counties after they report. And then this is the one that I don't think ever covered, or if I have, it's been years and years ago, and it's Numont. This is a gold miner, and you can see why maybe I haven't been covering it, because it does not have a good earnings surprise track record. But this is a commodities play, so it's going to move both the stock and the earnings based on the price of the commodity. I haven't looked into many of these gold miners yet, but I want to, and I'm not sure how hedged they are at the price of gold and the other commodities they may be drilling out of the ground. But this one is 3 misses in a row, so you have to kind of be betting on another miss, especially with all this red. And surprisingly, 2022 was actually when the shares soared, and now not so much. It's had a mini rally here off of these lows. And then, we'll see. We'll see if things are turning around this quarter for some of these gold miners. It's trading at 19.7 times. That's not dirt cheap here, but hopefully the earnings start to, be on the upward trajectory here with the price of gold at new highs. It does pay a dividend yielding 2.6%. So that's quite a nice dividend for a company like this. So we're going to start tuning into these gold miners now. And this one is Numont, ticker NEM. And then we're going to wrap it up with one of the big oils. There's 2 reporting on Friday this week, one Chevron, one Exxon Mobil. We're going to go with Exxon. I feel like it's the more bullish of the 2. It's got the drilling going on in Guyana. That's where you want to be. That's where Chevron's trying to get in by buying Hess, but that might not work for them. So Exxon is in partnership with Hess down there, and there's some arbitration developments going on with the Chevron deal. So what else is going on? Well, we have crude back above 80. That's going to help Exxon. And you can see these shares have broken out to new 5-year highs here in 2024. It's improved on its earnings surprise record in recent quarters. There is more green on the screen than there is red, but we did have these 2 misses, and that's when crude and natural gas both on the decline there. So it gets hard for the analysts when you get big spikes up or big spikes down in the commodities for these commodity companies, and that's what we're seeing. But they did have a green arrow last quarter, and a lot of us are going to be watching what happens with energy this quarter. It's trading at 12.4 times, so it is cheap here. Those earnings estimates have turned around with crude back above 80, as I just mentioned. So earnings estimates are on the rise here. 3.2% dividend. It is, one of the dividend aristocrats and is proud of its dividend payment. I did want to just take a quick look at the price and consensus chart here. So you can see that 2022 Ukraine war crude rises up to $130. Natural gas also spiking. That's when we had these super high earnings. That has all come back down. But you can see 2024 here, a little bit of gains there because it's trying to go up. We'll see. We'll see if the analysts are going to raise their earnings estimates here after this quarter, because we are now holding the crude over 80. But we'll see. There's a lot of moving parts with Exxon. It's also one of the largest chemical companies in the world, I think the world, if not certainly the United States. So that's another area that you should be watching. So as you can see, this is a quite a big difference with what is going on with the Mag 7 right now, and a lot of different companies and a lot of different industries reporting. I'm trying to bring you as many of the different ones as possible. And so we're getting a little bit of commodities plays in now. Will that be a trend over the rest of this year? We'll see. But I'll be bringing you more of these earnings videos throughout earnings season, as I always say. So be sure to tune in, get them all at Zacks.com/YouTube. I'll be tweeting out these videos as well on my Twitter feed, just at Tracy Reineck. But be sure to get them somewhere, and I'll see you again next week with some more charts.